One of my all-time favorite shirts came from being at a live event in Bakersfield, California, when an actual crew member gave me an extra WWE crew shirt because, it's nice to know the people in the right place. After the open rolls, Josiah will join me from a distance, or what they say in the Rock and John Cena era, via satellite. I don't know if it actually is via satellite, but like I said, from a distance. And we will talk about the Scooby Doo WrestleMania mystery from 2014 because, well, we are entering WrestleMania season, and it only feels right to talk about WWE on route to WrestleMania and its animation celebration. So we are going to talk about Scooby Doo and the WrestleMania mystery. Josiah, thank you for joining me for this animation celebration of Scooby Doo and the WrestleMania mystery.
Happy to be here.
I hadn't seen this. I didn't watch it when it came out in 2014. It didn't feel like it was meant for me at the time. And, obviously I just watched it now because we're entering WrestleMania season and, also the idea that the channel exists.
Yep, makes sense for sure. Yeah,
And so,
2014, been a long time.
yeah, I was going to say, did you watch this 10 years ago when it came out? Or no, crap, 11 years ago now?
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, crazy, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
no, so I watched it, 11 years ago. So I was 15 when I watched it. Still probably not the target audience, but in the
yeah,
ballpark at least.
yeah. I was thinking while I watched it that had this been Scooby Doo and the Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling crew, that it would have been perfect for me at the time when I was
It would
when
have
I
been
was
your ballpark era.
exactly. Yeah, because I don't know if you've ever watched that show because it's crazy weird, and I know you're anti Hogan, but he doesn't even voice himself. He's voiced by Ray Romano's brother from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I
not one wrestler voices their own characters. Uh, it's just the gimmicks are used, and they're all cast as actors.
Yeah, that's why we gotta love voice actors. Very talented people they are.
Oh my goodness! Well, it blew me away just how stellar some of the wrestlers were at doing their own work. Like I thought. Now, granted, we all know now John Cena is is good at the job, but I'd
Absolutely.
never even thought about him doing voiceover work. I guess I know he did Ferdinand, but I didn't watch that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I have it on I got one of those free digital codes from one of the DVD boxes or whatever, but
Oh,
it's just nothing that piqued my interest. And while watching this, I was like, man, John is really good at being John Cena.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely something that stands out. But yeah, no, when this came out, yeah, I was 15. I've always been a big Scooby Doo fan. Love Scooby Doo. So I've watched like all the old cartoons. I watched the some of the new stuff that's come out that's been really really good. I think at the time this movie came out, I think they were doing the Scooby Doo Mystery Inc. Incorporated. So on Cartoon Network.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it was around. I think it was around that time. Don't obviously the internet will tell me if I'm right or wrong. But
I'll give you a hint. I'm not gonna check. I'll just take your word for it.
hey, perfect, even better, even better. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
no, thought it
I
was an enjoyable movie.
yeah, when I was doing my corollaries, obviously Hulk Hogan fits best in the John Cena role. But I
Hmm.
thought, man, Dusty Rhodes, the common man, was in that Brodus Clay spot. And I thought, okay, if we're gonna give somebody a non-speaking role but tells a story by movement, I was like, Jimmy Superfly Snuka felt like the guy to put in that
Mhm.
Sin Cara spot and have Hogan be like, "Oh, I can tell you what he's performing," because I thought the Sin Cara telling the story of Vicious the Bear was probably my favorite part
that was
of the
fun.
concept
Yeah.
because he didn't tell anything. He just did a bunch of flips, and John Cena is telling, "Oh, this is what that means." And also seeing the backstory of the bear made me think of all the classic like Stu Hart and all the like I'm gonna say black and white era wrestling. I'm sure it was more like territory era, but the
Yeah.
idea of all the top tough guys gonna take on the bear, it always makes me laugh to think that that was a go-to spot.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, no. Honestly, I think that was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie was just that whole sequence. I thought it was a unique way because I mean, I don't know which Sangara we had at the time. I don't know if we had made the switch from Mystico to Hunico.
Yeah,
Um,
the with the visual presentation, it's still Mystico. That doesn't mean Hudako wasn't playing the role in real life, but he would have had to have that arm tattoo for it to be,
for it to be him, yeah. Yep, good
because that
point.
was the
Good point.
debut. They switched it out in real life.
Yeah, yeah, that was the cue. Yep, you are correct. But
So
yeah,
to me,
go
one of the weirdest parts of the movie
ahead.
were Cookie,
Hmm.
Rudy,
Oh yeah.
and security lady. Every time these three, I mean, and I would even be more forgiving of Cookie and Rudy than I am the security lady. I'm like,
Hmm.
couldn't you be somebody like they already had Sergeant Slaughter cameo? Why not put him in the as the head of security for WWE City?
Right.
But you could use the excuse that he has a military background, and let's be real, he has a very powerful and experience in voice acting work with GI Joe.
Absolutely. I'm about to say G.I. Joe is one of my dad's favorite cartoons growing up, so I actually like still like very well remember Sergeant Slaughter in that role.
Of course, it's just one of those things that stands out because, well, do you know, much like how Hulk Hogan choosing to be Thunder Lips in Rocky led to him exiting the company, the deal that or Hasbro, I guess more accurately, is what led to his years long exile from the World Wrestling Federation. Thank you for being here at Mr. Super Oz. This video is going out, and this channel only exists because I, Oz, founded Gamble Comics, which first release was Everlasting Survivors, a 68-page graphic novel called All Day Long. Available now. Follow the link in the description that will take you to gamblecomics.com. While there, you can get hats, shirts, posters, much, much more, but most importantly, the story itself. Coming soon from Gamble Comics, BC Brute.
Dang, I did not know that.
Yeah, so Vincent Jess McMahon, he always saw, and to some degree, I sort of understand, but he always saw wrestling as its own entity and didn't see the need for other things. Whereas Vincent Kennedy McMahon
Right.
saw other things as an asset. Like literally, Thunder Lips is one of the things that made Vince Jr., Vincent Kennedy McMahon, think that Hulk Hogan could be his cash cow, which proved to be right.
Indeed. Yep.
And so, yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting the difference that the father and son their different approaches, I guess.
Well, it makes sense too because they both grew up different.
Oh,
And if you watch the Vince documentary, they don't go into too much detail, but they go into some detail about that. I think if Vince had grown up with his father, he probably would have kind of seen professional wrestling his way, but just not having that experience of growing up in the territories and doing all that, I think led Vince to like see the what's the word I'm looking for, potential
Oh yeah,
of
absolutely.
of using other things and bringing it into wrestling,
Yeah,
which
I'm
obviously,
all
as we see
about
today, worked out.
100%. I'm all about using outside forces to elevate. I think it's so smart because, like I said, while watching, I was like, and I've done it before too. It's funny. I actually, at one point in my life, oh my goodness, it might have been during this era, basically, of 20 type. I'll be honest, probably a couple years earlier. It's probably more like 20. I was
12,
thinking,
2011.
I was thinking about the idea of what if we redid a rock and wrestling type cartoon,
Ooh,
and I was like, okay, John Cena obviously is the Hogan of the crew,
indeed.
but this was during that, and this might help you figure out the timeline. But I was thinking that MVP and Mark Henry, who were a tag team at the time, and they
Oh
would make
Lord, yeah.
allies for the babyface John Cena.
Honestly, that'd be excellent.
And so whatever year it was, it don't matter. I was like, okay, so Miz, he'll definitely be a part of the heel contingent, and CM Punk is probably the modern day Roddy Piper
Yep.
of the crew that was always against the baby.
The babyface little group.
And I was just thinking, man, it's smart to try and win over a younger audience to get them into the idea of wrestling. That's why I thought the Saturday morning slam was such a good idea when it happened. It
Oh yeah,
wasn't made, but it
used to.
was what's that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I used to actually watch the Saturday Morning Slam, just because it was like a goofier version of like normal stuff.
Well, and that's what I love about the idea of the Saturday morning slam is that, like you said, it's goofy. But what I mean by goofy is it it's easy to introduce people to the idea of what wrestling is,
Hmm.
and as they grow, there are more mature shows to tune into, and that's one of the things that I think is so beautiful about wrestling is the diverse way that it can be presented, whether it be, like I said, Saturday Morning Slam with, like you said, goofy wrestling, or Extreme Championship Wrestling with, blood, guts, and all kinds of violence. And then you've got what is basically in the now, the modern age of the drama with the bloodline or Cody finishing a story, all that type of like melodrama, maybe you would more accurately call it, where it's long
Yeah,
term and you can get invested.
absolutely, absolutely. I agree 100%.
And so that's the beauty of the Scooby and not just that. Have a Flintstones tie-in. I have a Speed Demon that I haven't watched Scooby Doo movie and a Jetsons version. These all come in time as the animation celebration continues. But yeah, I just think that they're smart. And it's one of the things that I really miss about WWE Network is the concept that you can create explicit like things with an expressed intention. Like Camp WWE, for instance, was meant to be their answer to Adult Swim.
Oh, oh,
Like it's adult animation, if you will.
yeah, yeah. They're on
And I think
they're
we like
Simpsons, they're Family Guy type thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I really enjoyed their Storytime show on WWE Network. I thought there were very short stories where that you could take a trip down memory lane with legends or,
Oh,
current wrestlers too.
the Playing Right from Hell one, which probably is aged very poorly now, but
Yeah, well, it's also interesting since you bring that up
mm,
how you can take something that we know is
that
serious.
yeah,
Oh, well, yes, that too, but I just mean something that is serious and also look at it from a less serious perspective just because there's so many different points of view in that one story alone.
absolutely.
And yeah, so we're way off topic from Scooby Doo, but like I
Yeah,
said, what's that?
I said yeah, that happens sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah, we've done this a million times. But I was going to say, not only was John Cena really good at the voice acting, I thought Glenn Jacobs presentation of Kane in this was so. I mean, obviously, he's had years of experience to get Kane fine
Yeah, I'm about to
tuned,
say get him down packed.
but
He's only been
every
playing the same character 20 years at that point.
he's more than that, I think.
Oh yeah, he
Um, yeah,
probably
something,
pushing like
something like it. Yeah,
probably
but
pushing like 25. But yeah, it's been a while.
yeah, and so he was so entertaining throughout because of most of the wrestlers were on the same page throughout the story, whether it be Santino or Brodus, John Cena, and Triple H. Even were all Miz. Surprisingly enough, all seemed to be basically quote unquote good guys, right?
Right.
Nobody was explicitly a villain except for probably Kane.
Yeah, very true.
And I think that if this movie was made in the last couple of years, the thing that they are calling WWE City would have definitely been called WWE World, since they have a basic, I'm going to say, almost amusement park setup there in, I think, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And they're also putting a smaller version in Las Vegas for WrestleMania week, I think it is. So
Yeah.
I think if this was made in the now, they would have definitely called it WWE World
Oh
instead
yeah,
of
the
WWE.
rebranding would have been immediate.
Yeah, the idea of keeping it all synergistic, I think it's called. But yeah, throughout, like I said, there were times when I was like, "Oh, this ain't for me." But by the end, I was like, "This is fine. It's not great by any stretch, but it's totally fine." I gave it a 3 out of 5. I thought that in the right mindset, in the right age, I would have been a much bigger fan. But it's just because of where I am, in my own life. Like 30 years ago, I'd have given this thing high marks, but
For sure.
now, it's totally fine.
Yeah. I would give it a 3 too. I do think I probably rated it higher back when I was younger, but just watching it back now, I'm 26. I'm a grown ass man. I can't really get into it in the same way.
Yeah. Well,
But
I appreciate you making the time to talk about this,
yeah,
and
for sure.
I love that we have this technology to lean on in times where we can't get together, because one day there will come a time when we'll need a third man for Alpha Entertainment Worldwide, and there's a good chance it might end up being played out like this, depending on where the third booker is.
For sure.
And like I said, even whether it be sickness or bad weather or whatever, this is still a way to make it happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Got to take advantage of the tools at your disposal.
Yeah, because the fact is, while the deadline was imposed by me and me alone, I love the idea that in the time that the channel has existed, I just don't miss. And uh, while it has not yet paid off, I did get a message from YouTube today saying, "Hey, people are tuning in." I'm like, "Well, I appreciate that, YouTube. Nice,
That's
nice
awesome.
looking." Well, again, thank you, brother, and I will see you on the next one. We will keep making it happen because it's what we do. And yeah, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Later.